45 week on the Paper Crafters Library blog. Every day this week we will be featuring different projects using Graphic 45's gorgeous tropical Travelogue collection. Today's project is a set of cards packaged in a decorated burlap bag. Because there are a lot of elements and techniques involved in this project, I've broken it up into 5 separate videos. In this video, I'm going to show you how I decorated a plain burlap bag and used it to package my set of 4 gift cards in. In order to embellish this bag, you will also need to watch 2 other videos: how to create this metal flower, as well as how to create fishing net using cheesecloth. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how I took this beautiful jute bag that I found at my craft supply store and embellished it to hold a gift set of 4 gift cards with altered envelopes that I created using Graphic 45's Tropical Travelogue collection, as well as I'm going to embellish this using the same collection. So to start, you're going to need some of our altered cheesecloth that we created, and that can be viewed on how to create it in a separate video. And when I'm working with my cheesecloth, I'm quite generous with my pieces, just because you can always trim off, but you can't replace. So just cut off a large section, set aside the rest because you will use it later on in other projects, and I'm just going to cluster this at the bottom of my bag, and it just adds some dimension to the bag as well as an extra splash of color. So here I can see that I've got a little bit too much, so I'm just going to trim off. And you don't have to be nice and neat about this, you want the little jagged edges. So I'm just trimming off some of that, and then I'm just going to cluster this again towards the bottom of my bag. And once you have this all in place, you're then going to stick it down with some hot glue. So just place a little bit of hot glue in various locations on the back of your cheesecloth, and then stick it down to your bag. And while you're working with some hot glue, you want to make sure that it doesn't seep through your bag, so you can either put a scrap piece of paper in there or just watch with your hand that you don't stick it down or stick the 2 sides together. So you now want to let your glue set for a moment, so give it some time. In the meantime, you're going to set this aside. In the meantime, you're going to take an element from the Botanica piece of designer paper found in our Graphic 45 Tropical Travelogue collection, and you're going to trim that off with paper snips. Here I've just cut off this butterfly image, and I've rounded the corners just with my paper snips. You're then going to take your paper snips, opening the blade, and distress the edges of your image, working all the way around your cardstock. Once you have distressed all the edges, you're going to clean off your work area and then set aside your paper snips. You're also going to now need your vintage photo distress ink from Ranger and your blending tool, and you're going to ink up the edges of your piece of cardstock or designer paper here. And if you notice, your distressed edges take on a little bit more of the ink, giving it a little bit more of that vintage feel. So keep working in a circular motion until you're happy with how much ink you've pulled onto your cardstock. And once you have that done, you're going to set that aside. You're then going to need 2 of these stamp images that you can find in the same collection from Graphic 45 in the Paradise Postage designer paper sheet. So I've just gone ahead and I've trimmed off 2 of my postage stamps using my paper snips. You're going to ink up the edges of those with the same ink and blending tool. Just pulling that ink on, adding that little bit more vintage look to each stamp. Once you're happy with those, you're going to set aside your card image as well as your 2 stamps for a moment. You can set aside your ink and your blending tool, and you're now going to need 2 chipboard pieces that are found in Graphic 45's chipboard tags, Travelogue tags 1. And I have this postage stamp tag as well as this tropical Travelogue button that I've taken and I've added some linen thread to in a bow. So I've just taken 2 pieces of linen thread and tied that into a bow through the center of the button. You're also going to add a brad to the center of that button, and I'm using one of my metal brads from Graphic 45. So I'm just going to pull that out of the package and add that to the button. So I'm just opening the prongs a little bit, add it to the holes that are already in that button, and bend those prongs at the back of the button, securing that down to the chipboard piece. So that just holds on in the center of the button, adding that extra metal embellishment. You're then going to need some linen thread to loop through the top of your tag as like a tassel type of thing. So you're going to need a couple of pieces. You're going to work with about a 10-inch piece and then 2 2-inch pieces. And you're going to take one end and just loop this through the top of the tag a few times. Just wrapping that around the top. And once you have that wrapped a few times, you're going to take the ends towards the top. You're going to feed one more piece through so that you have then 4 pieces or 4 tail ends of linen thread at the top held in one hand, just like so. And then I'm going to take my final piece and tie it in a knot around all of my ends here. So, and you want to make sure that you're tying this into a double knot to secure that onto the remainder of that linen thread. Once it's all tied together, you're going to bring in your snips and you're just going to trim this off in shorter pieces. They don't have to be even. It just adds to that unfinished or vintagey kind of look. So once you have the tassels added, you're then going to start to embellish the front of your bag. In the meantime, your hot glue has dried here. And in order to add these embellishments to the front of my bag, you could use hot glue if you wish. I am not. I am going to use some E6000. And this is a great permanent adhesive. So all you're going to do is layer your elements in your bottom right hand corner. You can start to curl some of those embellishments if you wish, but just lay them out so that you can make sure that you have proper placement of each element before you adhere any down. So I'm just clustering this in my bottom right hand corner. And once you're satisfied with the placement of each, then you can go back and stick them all down with your adhesive. So I know how that's going to sit. I'm going to take my adhesive, and again, this is a permanent adhesive. You want to make sure that it doesn't come through your jute bag, so you may want to stick a piece of paper on the inside, just some copy paper while you're working. So I'm just going to fold a piece up and stick that on the inside of my bag to make sure that my adhesive does not stick to the back side of the bag, and then you won't be able to open it. So just slide that into place and stick that down. My adhesive that I'm using here, the E6000, takes a few moments to dry, so make sure that you give it that time to set. So then you're just going to come back and keep layering your pieces as you're working, and then I would add my curled corners once I have placement of everything. So just tucking in, clustering everything as you work. And then, like I said, it does take a few moments to dry, so you will want to give it ample time for the adhesive to set. And once it has set, then you can start pulling up the corners of your cardstock to add that little touch of dimension. So just working that, each element in place. So like I said, let it dry and then you can work with that. So once your adhesive sets, you will then be able to add in your 4 altered envelopes, as well as the 4 cards that you created in order to make this a beautiful gift set. I hope you enjoyed stamping with me. As I mentioned earlier, because of the size of this project, there are 5 separate videos. All videos have been uploaded to YouTube as well as placed on our blog. If you're watching this video on YouTube, then be sure to click on the link in the video description section and it will take you to the post you see here. You'll be able to link to all the videos from there. At the end of the week, one lucky winner will receive this amazing collection of tropical Travelogue products, generously provided by Graphic 45. All you have to do to enter is to leave us a comment in the same post where you accessed all of the videos for today's project. Be sure to visit our blog every day this week for more great projects using Graphic 45's tropical Travelogue collection, and for more opportunities to win, as each day you leave a comment counts as one entry. See you on the blog!